we are actually here and able to talk football with a little bit of certainty, certainly about week one. And then because of what we've seen for those test rates, knocking on wood, hoping that we can talk about season-long storyline arcs. And in that regard, Chris, ask the poll question to Peter King to start off our conversation here.
All right, Peter, looking at storylines, what's the best heading into the 2020 season? Bucs dream team, Chiefs budding dynasty, Cam's second act with the Patriots, and the Cowboys back to the Super Bowl.
I'd say Bucs number one, Patriots number two, and probably Dallas number three. I think the biggest question now is, look, Pro Football Focus had a great stat last week that, and not just last week, they had it in the off season, that the Patriots receiving core as a whole last year was the worst in the NFL. And what exactly did they do in the off season to fix that? That's going to be something that Cam Newton he's going to have to be the rising tide that lifts all boats in New England. And, I just think Brady is just a totally fascinating story, because not only is he one of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time, he's 43 years old. He's trying to have a second act, and he's trying to have a second act in a place that, as he told me a few weeks ago, this is the first time in 30 years playing football, high school, college, pro, that his head coach was an offensive head coach. So you deal with that aspect, and then you basically say that he's got most likely the best offensive weaponry, top to bottom, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs that he's ever had in the NFL. So as a group. So I think it's going to be really fascinating to watch whether he can be sort of the missing link, in what was missing in Tampa. I mean, obviously they turned it over 41 times last year. Tom Brady won't turn it over. Jameis Winston threw 30 picks. As I wrote the other day, Tom Brady's last 64 games, which is 4 full seasons, he threw a total of 30 interceptions. So, he's going to be a lot more efficient. And, we'll see if he can last and play great at the age of 43. And sort of defy what everybody thinks that a 43-year-old person can do.
So, let's linger on this storyline for a little while longer. In one thing that Brady doesn't have, we all know, is the New England system. We understand that. But one thing he also doesn't have is a division that was bereft of any serious contenders. The NFC South is a totally different story. Last ride for Drew Brees didn't even make this list. And we know that the Saints are putting many eggs in that Brees basket. With what they attempted to do with Jadeveon Clowney, Mickey Loomis thought he was, pulling a Pelicans trade, instead of a Saints trade, was phenomenal. I thought that was really inspired, one way to look at it. What about this division? Who do you have winning it?
I have New Orleans winning it, and I have Tampa being a wild card team. It wouldn't surprise me if that was reversed, but I do think that the fact that the Bucs did not have any time this off season to really get in the kind of groove that you'd like to be in entering a season. I think that makes it really hard on them to basically hit the ground running. The NFL, I don't think, did them any favors by putting them in New Orleans in week one. I mean, you got to play the game at some point, but maybe the toughest game on your schedule and, on the road, and you're coming right out of the chute with that, the first time that you've basically faced a defense that's going to try to tackle you. So that's going to be rough. But that's one of the big reasons why I picked New Orleans. I think it's going to take a while for Brady. I think they'll win 10 or 11 games, but it's going to be hard for them to, I think, dethrone New Orleans this year.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.